Good morning. Good morning. My name is Terry McGuire. I'm Secretary of the Board of Trustees. Announcements this morning are a little brief. We encourage you to read your emailed announcements every week. All the information that you need to know is there, all the upcoming events. I especially want to remind everyone of next week's Christmas Eve service. Remember that there will be no morning service that day. Our Christmas Eve service starts at 5 p.m. We hope everyone will come. It promises to be lovely. If you have questions for anyone on the board or for Reverend Maggie, please address them after service during the coffee hour. And now I would like to bring up Reverend Maggie.
Thank you, Terry. And good morning, everyone. It is so good to see all of you as we get closer and closer to the holidays. It seems like we're ramping up the energy and making everything really festive. It's beautiful, and I'm so glad you're all here. And a warm welcome to those who are joining us online. We open our service with a ringing of the bowl 3 times, honoring yesterday, celebrating today, and awaiting tomorrow. For the ancestors and the founding members of our congregation, whose vision brings us here today, 71 years later, we ring it for the Tongva and other indigenous peoples who first called this land home. We honor their culture, we honor their traditions, and we honor all that they've lost due to colonization. For those of us here and now, for all gathered here, those joining us online today, for our staff, our visitors, our friends and sustaining members, and for our partnership congregation in the Philippines, for all who walk with us on this journey that we share. And we ring it for those who will come, for all who will find welcome and safe belonging here among us and make this beloved community their spiritual home in the days ahead. And I invite you to stand as you're comfortable, and we'll sing out together, "Come, Come, Whoever You Are," as our opening song. And I'd like to invite Sophie to come and light my chalice today. Yeah, everyone can sit, be seated, sorry. We light our chalice this morning to illumine our hearts and the spaces between them in this liminal time of unfolding. To light our creative spirits, to light our wise souls, to light our sense of wonder, and to nourish our curious minds. May our time together today light our love for this place, for this people, for this work. Blessed be. And now, as part of your calisthenics, stand again. We're going to sing Spirit of Life, and then it'll be followed immediately by a reading of our Congregational Covenant. And you have the words to our covenant in your order of service, but they're also going to be on the screen. Here we go. We affirm that love is the greatest purpose of this congregation. The search for truth is our constant star, and service is our prayer. We pledge our hearts, minds, and hands to challenge injustice with courage, to make choices for a healthier planet, and to live out our Unitarian, Universalist values every day as beloved community. Thus do we covenant with each other and with all that is sacred in life. Please be seated. Today we have a special video that was created by our association president, the Reverend Dr. Sophia Betancourt.
Greetings and glad tidings, beloveds, as we come together in this season of peace. As people around the world join together in prayer, in hopefulness, in striving and possibility, I bring you love, intention, gratitude, and hope from your Unitarian Universalist Association. I know that these times have been difficult, that we have been holding together this image of peace in the Holy Lands, peace in places that are central to many of us, in our ancestry and in our prayers for humanity. But remember in these times that traditions and peoples across the globe are coming together for renewal, for possibility, for community. For Unitarian Universalists, we lean into the beauty, the goodness that we hold together in common cause. And as we head into the turning of the year, my prayer for you is that this will be a time of family, a time of healing, a time of recommitment and dedication to the things that bring joy, bring justice, bring peace, and bring meaning to our lives. Know that your Unitarian Universalist Association is with you, not only in preparing for all that is to come in 2024, but in gratitude for all that you have done and been in 2023. Glad tidings, beloveds, blessings on your holidays, and we look forward to being with you for all the years to come. Be blessed.
That if you weren't able to hear it, she speaks softly, and it is available on the uua.org website if you wanted to replay that for yourself. But now is our time for our wisdom tale, so I'd like to invite Robert, our DLRE, to come up and offer us the story. It's called Tree of Cranes.
Today's story is called Tree of Cranes, like Reverend Maggie just said. It's by Alan Say. When I was not yet old enough to wear long pants, Mama always worried that I might drown in a neighbor's pond. Time and again she warned me not to play there, but I never listened because the pond was filled with carp of bright colors. The last time I went there was a gray winter day, too cold for the fish to move around. They never came out from under the rocks, and all I caught was a bad chill. Mama would be upset with me, I knew. She would know right away how I got my mittens all wet, but then she might be happy just to see me. "Mama, I'm home," I called. There was no answer. She always met me at the porch. Always. I called again, and finally she answered, sounding far away. I waited, but she did not come out to see me. She must be sick, I thought. Mama was in the living room, folding origami paper. She just nodded, barely looking at me. But there were 2 slices of my favorite tea cake waiting for me that made me feel better. Why are you making cranes? I asked. Because I want to make a big wish, she said, without looking up. You're going to fold 1,000 cranes to make your wish come true? Maybe even 2,000. She reached out and touched my face with her cool hand. Why, you're hot all over. Mama frowned and gave me a silent stare. I hung my head and said nothing. She knew. Anytime Mama thought that I had a cold, it was time for a hot bath. 10 whole minutes and not 1 second less, she told me. She was upset. She didn't even rinse my back. Her slippers went shuffling all the way down the hallway. Then a door closed shut, and she wasn't coming back to keep me company. I'd better say I'm sorry, I thought to myself. But before I could apologize, Mama put me in my night clothes. I don't want to go to bed. You need to stay nice and warm. All afternoon? All afternoon. Will you read me stories? No stories, but I'll make you a hot lunch. I knew what that meant. Rice gruel. Only sick people eat rice gruel. And that's what I had, with a sour plum and yellow radishes, eating all alone and drinking hot tea in Papa's big cup. Then I lay down facing the door and hoped Mama would come back with an apple and peel the skin in a long strip like a red ribbon and then read me a story. The door never opened. Mama, I called finally. She didn't answer. After a long while, I heard a noise coming from our garden. Maybe the old gardener had come to clip our trees again. I got up and opened the window. It was snowing outside, and Mama was digging around in a small tree. What are you doing? I shouted. Mama stopped and stared. Close that window this second and go straight back to bed. Quickly, I closed the window and lay down again. She's really angry now, I thought. But why is she gardening in the snow? Is she digging a hole because she's angry with me? I didn't know what to think. I was nearly asleep when Mama came in. She was carrying a tree in a blue pot. It was a little pine Mama and Papa had planted when I was born, so I would live a long life like the tree. What are you doing with my tree? I asked. You'll see, she said, setting down the pot. Do you know what today is? 7 days before the new year. That's right, she said and smiled. Then she fetched the silver cranes and some sewing things from the living room. Finally, Mama sat down and put the thread through one of the cranes and hung it from the tree. I have been acting strangely all day, she said. I started to reply, but she shushed me. If you promise to stay in bed, I will tell you why. I promise, I said. I was born and lived far away in another country, long before I came here and met your father. Where? A warm place called California, she whispered. I nodded. Today is a very special day in that warm place. If you happened to be there now, you would see trees like this everywhere, all decorated with twinkling lights and small globes of silver and gold. And under each tree, there were boxes of presents people give to friends and loved ones. I want a samurai kite, I said. You give and receive, child. It is a day of love and peace. Strangers smile at one another. Enemies stop fighting. We need more days like that. She put the last crane on the tree. It's wonderful, I cried. It's not finished, she said, and she brought some candles from the kitchen and tied them to the branches. Are you going to burn my tree? I asked. Mama laughed. Just the candles and only for a short while. We'll replant your tree tomorrow. I want to light them. May I? May I? Do it quickly. Mama let me strike the matches, and when all the candles were lit, she fell silent. She was remembering. She was seeing another tree in a faraway place where she had been small like me. Mama held me in her lap. The cranes turned slowly, flashing candlelight. There couldn't be a tree more beautiful than mine, I thought. Not even in the place where Mama was born. What present would you like? I asked. Only peace and quiet, Mama said. I mean something for me. Oh, something very, very special, like a promise. I said I would stay in bed. Another promise. All right. Give me your word that you'll never go to the pond again. I promised. I was fast asleep when Papa came home. Next morning, I jumped out of bed because a fierce warrior was staring at me. But it was only a kite. Only a kite, the one I'd always wanted. Then I saw the tree behind it, my tree. Suddenly, I remembered last night and all that Mama had told me. Thank you, Mama. Thank you, Papa. I ran outside with my present. Outside, everything was covered with snow. There'll be another day, Mama said. A fine, windy day with no snow. Plenty of snow to make a snowman, Papa said. Let's make one together. And like the snowman we made, many years have melted away now, but I will always remember that day of peace and quiet. It was my first Christmas. And now if the children present can come up and get our chalice, we'll go to our classrooms. And I will leave this book on our RE table if you want to take a look at the pretty pictures after service.
Have a great time. One way that we here at Monte Vista live into our hope to be known as a caring community and to celebrate our shared compassion for our friends, relatives, neighbors, and animals who are in need of good care in these tender times. Our congregation has chosen to live out our generosity by gathering our undesignated offerings and splitting them 50-50 with a local charity pre-selected by the Justice team and approved by our board. For the month of December, our Share the Plate offerings will be shared with Cain's Cupboard, our animal ministry that's tended by Catherine Marie Mayfield and Cynthia Humes. 100% of all financial contributions that are given to Cain's Cupboard are directly reaching animals in need. There are no administrative costs for Cain's Cupboard outside of the bookkeeping records that Tracy keeps to receive our donations and then disperse them for animal care. But all of the offerings taken up in December that are not designated for your pledge or any other fund drives that we are we don't have any going right now because we finished the roof. Yay! That anything that's outside of pledges will be shared 50-50 with Cain's Cupboard at the end of the month. So it is with deep gratitude for the many gifts of time, talent, and treasure offered by this beautiful community, our community, that our offering will now be given and received. So now while we enjoy Lily's beautiful offertory, I invite those in the sanctuary to please come forward with your generous offerings. Thanks, Lily. There's something so magical about that piece. Just Charlie Brown and all of it. I love it. I love it. Our congregation enjoys being in a relationship that gives us space to share shine and shadow, the things that are delighting us in our lives and the things that are a great disappointment. It's our tradition that we keep these joys and concerns. The blank ones are by the door when you come in, over to the side there on the table. So I have 3 here that have been filled out. The first one here is from George and Ellen. Yeah. They have a sadness. Their lifelong friends, John and Glenda, have had a great sadness this week. Glenda has had a severe stroke and is now in hospice care in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. She is not expected to live much longer, so we hope we can be with her, if possible, and John, when we go there on Friday for Christmas. Our prayers and love to John and Glenda. Jill Rigel has her one for her friend Tina Stoner, who has visited here several times. She had a knee surgery, knee replaced Wednesday, and is home resting comfortably. That reminds me of Joyce as well. Our own Joyce Armenta is also recovering from knee surgery, but she's doing great. We have to really tie her down and keep her away from coming back. I talked to her this week, and she was like, I want to come in for just about an hour to see what I can do. She hasn't been back to the surgeon yet. I said, Joyce, see the doctor first, get his okay, and then you're welcome to come back. But yeah, so we'll keep Joyce and their family in our prayers as well. And then our third one comes from Jeannie. We know that her daughter Diana will be undergoing surgery to remove a tumor from her brain. That's coming up on the 21st, right? 20th, okay. Diana says thank you to all the lovely people at MVUUC for all of their good wishes, and we'll be holding her and you here in our hearts this week as she says, just get it out and let me heal and move on. Yeah, that's hard. There are so many things that people are carrying. There is one. Oh, it's on my screen. It's right in front of me. Ellen Livingston. Oh, Ellen is on Zoom. Good. Was wondering where you were. I was a little bit concerned about that, but we welcome you, Ellen, from Zoomland, and she has a joy. Her son Marcus from Chicago is coming to visit on the 21st. So that's wonderful. I don't see any others in the chat. So that's good. But we all carry things inside of us, and maybe we don't want to speak about them, but we need some way to express how we feel. And sometimes just a little ritual is just enough for us to exhale a little bit from the worries that we have, and in a place to put our joy as well. So I'd like to invite everyone into a little ritual now. I will light the center candle, and I have other little candles there on the side. So for any of you who would like to light a candle on behalf of someone that you're thinking about, or just to hold your joy in a beautiful way and be a part of the ritual, I invite you to come forward and do that now. Please join me in a spirit of prayer. This prayer is written by Chilan Harkin. She's a beautiful young poet. This is titled The Worst Thing, and it'll be followed by some shared silence. Chilan writes, "The worst thing we ever did was to put God in the sky, out of reach, pulling the divinity from the leaf, sifting the holy from our bones, and insisting that God isn't bursting dazzlement through everything that we've made, stripping the sacred from everywhere, to put it in a cloud man elsewhere, prying closeness from your heart. And the worst thing we ever did was take the dance and the song out of prayer and make it sit up straight and cross its legs, removed it of its rejoicing and wiped clean its hip sway, its questions, its ecstatic yowl, its tears. The worst thing we ever did is pretend that God isn't the easiest thing in this universe, available to every soul in every breath." Unitarian Universalists often struggle with questions about whether we should ever separate art from artist, when one or the other is controversial. But in 19th century France, the church hierarchy made their answer to this dilemma evident when they banned the hymn, "O Holy Night," from any use in any church services, because it was discovered that Placide Cappeau, the artist who wrote the lyric, was an open atheist and socialist. Meanwhile, in the United States, newly ordained Unitarian minister John Sullivan Dwight, whose stage fright actually prevented him from preaching, turned his ministry toward his love for music, which led him to discover this Cantique de Noël. John Dwight was an ardent abolitionist, so Cappeau's words about Christ breaking all bonds and seeing a brother where there once was a slave struck a chord with him. He loosely translated the song into English, including the lyric in the third verse, "Chains shall he break, for the slave is our brother, and in his name all oppression shall cease." Remain seated for this gentle song, "O Holy Night," verse 1 and 3 by Placide Cappeau, and it will be led for us by Jill Rigel.
Say
beautiful. Thank you all. And thank you, Jill. Lovely. It's a wonder how that tricky little spirit of life brings us the elements for our worship when we ask for guidance. And this week I found this reading, and I feel it's filled with resonance and support for today's message. It's titled, "May You Respond to the Call of Your Gift," and it's told by Deb Sofield. I share with you her words. I want to stop your world and ask you to focus on this. You have a calling. You have a gift. And you need, with all you have in you, to be brave and follow its path. I'll admit, some days I find myself questioning why our paths are so hard to follow. But I also know, when you soulfully respond to the call of your gift, you will find the purpose and the fire within it. When you are honoring your gift and living it, it will become an all-consuming fire. Everyone brings a unique gift to this world. The ways we are able to find it and follow it are woven with our own personal decisions. But what is true for every one of us is the best way to live our life is to find your passion, see your gifts, and choose to hone them and give them as an offering to the world. The hard work can be figuring it out in just your way, dusting it off and learning how to interpret your calling. No one else can walk your path for you, and it is your path to your destination. And let me remind you, dear reader, because we are getting older, we need to get going. So tell me, are you living in response to the call of your gifts? Have you found the fire and the courage to receive the gift of your call? Don't let the shadow of the unknown cover your light or steal the gifts that you have to offer, especially now. Don't deny or limit your own power to make things happen, because seriously, we all need to wake up and see the world for what it is, and then figure out where we're standing or should be standing to get the job done. To help us all understand the urgency and to push you onto your path, I recommend reading this poem by John O'Donohue. It's called A Blessing for Presence. So I decided to bring it too. It's reprinted in his collection of his blessings to bless the space between us. I like this especially during COVID, when we had to keep space between us, right? She ends with John O'Donohue's prayer here, his poem. Awaken to the mystery of being here and enter the quiet immensity of your own presence. Have joy and peace in the temple of your senses. Receive encouragement when new frontiers beckon. Respond to the call of your gift and the courage to follow its path. Let the flame of anger free you of all falsity. May warmth of heart keep your presence aflame. May anxiety never linger about you. May your outer dignity mirror an inner dignity of soul. Take time to celebrate the quiet miracles that seek no attention. Be consoled in the secret symmetry of your soul. And may you experience each day as a sacred gift woven around the heart of wonder. Beautiful. Thank you. So we find ourselves rounding the bend of the holidays, those between Thanksgiving and New Year that are often peppered with thoughts and torment about gifts, finding the perfect one, stretching our finances to meet the demand and the expectation, and making certain that we tie that last bow before Santa arrives next Sunday, 1 week. Sorry, that was more pressure, huh? But all of those shared experiences that energize our holiday gift giving make the season bright or stressful or a thing of the past. But for today, let's take this hour to let go of all of that while we turn our focused energies toward a different type of gift, a gift that truly does keep on giving. And while they can't be found in any catalog, and they might be hard for us to envision at times, they bring great meaning and deep purpose to our lives. They are treasured gifts, spiritual gifts, those cherished gifts that we bring, that spring from the heart, treasured gifts that are rooted in our non-conformist, individuated, free spirits, and they hold great worth, but they cannot be bought at any price. Each week, as I introduce our weekly offering, we hold a moment when we honor the offerings of our time, talent, and treasure that each of us bring to co-create this life-giving community, our spiritual home, made perfect by the treasured gifts that each of us is. And each of us gives as we share in communion to grow our spirits and to serve one another. While the gifts of our financial support are necessary, they are, as the Christian scriptures name, noisy gongs or clanging cymbals without the love that we each bring from the core of our being. The gifts we explore today aren't part of our weekly offering, but our daily offering, our life offering, the treasured gifts that we are and offer and bring with us wherever we go. Our most treasured gifts are the gifts that we value most about ourselves. And we rarely allow ourselves much time to pause and think about what they are, or to polish them up a bit, or shine a light on them that reflects our self-worth in a way that blesses us each in our own way. But there are so many gifts in this very room. And within those joining us online, I think we have like 11 or 12 connections online today. And with all of those who we miss being with today, who are already traveling for the holidays or busy elsewhere with family. But there are several kinds of gifts. There are gifts that we work on, gifts we deny, gifts we resent, gifts we inherit, gifts we pass on to others, and gifts that we treasure. The gifts that we work on are those gifts that we often find calling us from our younger days, but not always. They're the gifts we find our identity in, and we have a passion for, and we're driven to keep them sharp. Lily is a good example of this, with her musical gift. She plays as if it just flows from her effortlessly, but she's dedicated much of her life to her gift and spent a great deal of time in rehearsal. She started at age 5 and has been rehearsing ever since. Oh yeah. But at that young age, and my grandson will be 5 in August, so I'm thinking him deciding what instrument he was going to dedicate his life to. I don't see that. But Lily dedicated herself then to piano, almost immediately. She practiced 3 or 4 hours a day, and sometimes longer. She says nowadays it's more sporadic. If she has something important coming up or a new repertoire to learn, she does 2 or 3 hours a day. Otherwise, it's less. And I skip days too, she says, LOL. The call of my gift to ministry came later in my life. I was in my mid-40s when I began doing chaplaincy work at a trauma center hospital in Syracuse, New York. at the turn of the millennium. It was very new. I was very new to it during the 9/11 attack in 2001. And that was a workout. But I was 53 when I went to seminary and began working on my Master of Divinity. Don't give up, Jimmy. Keep at it. But ministry is truly a gift, and it's a call. And it's one that we ministers need to always, always, always be working on. Training courses, continued education, and a good workout with a really good therapist are all important ways to practice and rehearse being a good minister. It's not a gift you can deny. Ask Jonah. But there are gifts that we do deny, and they can be the gifts that we just don't see in ourselves, or we don't have the courage to respond to them for many personal reasons. Often it's because of a lack of a positive self-awareness that's blocking us, or we're struggling in a dysfunctional living arrangement that we don't see our way out of. Some might laugh when they're told they exhibit a specific kind of gift that they never imagined could be possible. And perhaps we're told by our culture or by others in close circles of our lives that we're not capable of success, or that the need that we have for education is out of our reach. Maybe we feel that the pursuit of the passions that we hold secretly within our hopes and dreams is futile, and we believe that voice. But denying a dream is sadly easier sometimes than pushing against the lack of communal support or funding or cultural shifts that's needed to step into a new identity where our gifts can be realized. Our passion to honor the inherent worth and dignity of those people, our UU passion for that, of every person, will always be helpful and important in this world. And there are gifts that we resent, but that can be complex and troubling. I have a close colleague whose gifts included a good care of patients who were struggling with their health and their faith at the same time. And they do often become tightly interwoven. Some had mental health diagnoses that often brought out difficult perceptions of their God that were actually justifiable given the situation. But when you're gifted to see the deep and the dangerous fault lines within your faith, but you're unable to resolve any of them in any way and still maintain your ministry credentials, your gift can be very frustrating. But one who has a gift for teaching, listening, and discerning, but finds themselves in a family setting where their gifts are unseen or diminished in worth, can cause one to resent the gifts that they have. Adult children who carry with them a passionate call from their gifted ancestors can find themselves carrying resentment when that very same family has dysfunctional relationships and behaviors that prevent those gifts from coming into life. The gifts we resent are usually ones that are unrealized or lost due to trauma or addiction. Then there are gifts that we inherit, and they're best engaged when they're held close to the heart and valued greatly. There is usually a great amount of pride and strengthening in our core identity when we're witnessed as having inherited the gifts that were treasured by their family ancestors. The strong leadership and visioning of brave relatives is a great gift of tremendous value in today's world. The magic of delicious edible creations just like grandma is a great gift for everyone. And the courage and wisdom of our elders are great gifts that we can see easily in our young adults. We want to encourage them as they grow to someday be elders themselves. But before moving on too quickly, there's another inherited gift that we all stand in awe of and hope to amplify, pun intended, whenever we have the opportunity and the ability to do so, and that's the gift of voice and wisdom that Jaryus has inherited from his grandfather, Clabe Hangan. We know Jaryus inherited more than his middle name from his grandfather. I promised him I would embarrass him today. This is the part, Jaryus. But have you ever heard him singing from the sound booth? Incredible, incredible. We might need to hire a stunt double for Jaryus so that we can get him out here on the microphone and in the choir. But that takes us to the gifts that we pass on to others. Some intentionally, some with unknown grace. But the gifts within the biblical Christmas stories are rich with metaphor for the spiritual gifts that we have opened today. And we'll continue to celebrate the ways that they bring meaning to our faith journey as we prepare for our Christmas Eve candlelight service next Sunday at 5. And we unfold the 12 days of Christmas that follow and end with Epiphany, or 12th night, in the gifts of the Magi. The gold, frankincense, and myrrh that were offered to newborn Jesus are rich with metaphor for the gifts that we bring in our honoring of one another. The 3 gifts mentioned in the Christian scriptures were often bestowed on kings, and they also hold deep spiritual meaning. Gold as a symbol of royalty, frankincense that represented the incense that's offered to a deity, and myrrh is an embalming oil that's used as a symbol of death or a sign of mortality, symbolizing that Jesus was born as a human, a king, a would-be king, and also divine. And so may it be that the gifts that we treasure are those very gifts that we bring to one another, to honor those inherent dignities often left unacknowledged in this world, but they're so in need now for our repair and our restoration. The gifts that we treasure in one another reflect our vision of the magnificence, the sacredness, and the humanness within everyone that we meet. That the treasured gifts we carry at all times and bestow to all that we walk among. They're the gifts of respect, sacredness, and human kindness. The gifts that we treasure are not able to be gift-wrapped, but they are visible. And I see them in every one of you. So may these next few weeks of holiday celebrations bless you. And for those who will be traveling, I know Lily is traveling, David Adams is traveling. Anyone else traveling for the holidays? Ooh, lots of hands. We wish you safekeeping, and many, many, many treasured gifts for us all. Blessed be. I invite you to stand for our sending song. We'll sing Deck the Halls with Boughs of Holly. And before that, let's thank Catherine and Terry for the work they did to deck this hall, because I think it looks beautiful.
La
Sophie, you want to come up and extinguish the chalice? Come on, girl. Don't get too close. Yeah. Let's read our benediction together. We leave this gathered community, but not our connection to one another or our sense of belonging here. In this hour together, we have inspired our hearts, shared our faith, and deepened our care for the world. So until we gather again, let's keep love at the center, and may we continue to be kind and to treasure the gifts we bring. Let's enjoy Lily's postlude, and then there's some yummy coffee and cookies waiting for us.